Hello, my friends. It's the Patriot Pastor Mason Duncan, and welcome to the show. Today is Monday, and we're having one of those just news overflow opportunities. As you guys know, a lot's been happening, and it's just crazy times. But before we start, I'd like to remind you I have a book out, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith by Mason Duncan. Please consider getting that. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Lifeway, wherever you get your online books. We appreciate that. And don't forget the eclipse is coming on the 8th. Get your eclipse glasses and be wise, my friends. Looking up into the eclipse can harm your eyes. Check with your physician and get those details. I am on Street Level America, and this has got me now in 32 states, Mexico, and Canada, as we're broadcasting live. And we appreciate all those that are not just listening to the show, but you're sharing it. We're being shared on about 200 platforms now. And we also have SGM down in Alabama. Salute to our Alabama listeners. And the Freedom Network up in New Jersey. We salute the New Jersey listeners. And we appreciate that. And we actually have a couple of other stations that I'll be meeting with in the next week or so that are going to pick up the show. So rather excited about what God's doing. And so thanks all of you that are praying for the show and putting the word out. Well, let's get to what's going on. I think a lot of us have already heard about this, so let me just go ahead and announce or talk about what's in the news the most right now. And of course, you know, it's about Donald Trump and the miracle ruling he got. All right, Donald Trump. Okay, come on, fella. Well, Donald Trump got the ruling, as you know. The tapes there, I'm sorry, not playing, that he got the reduced rate. And as he's in New York here in the 11th hour, he got it down to like 175 bill. This was, million. This is half what he was supposed to pay. Lolita James evidently was set to try to go after the golf course in New Jersey, and she was contemplating shutting down Trump Tower. Now, the problem with shutting down Trump Tower is there was a lot of folks just letting her know, if you do that, you might as well hand Donald Trump the victory. One was Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz, who is a pollster, was on CNN, of all places, and around all the lip-locked liberals. And he said, listen, if you shut down Trump Tower, I'm telling you right now, book it. You've just given Donald Trump the presidency 2024. And he says every time. Now, listen, Frank Luntz kind of flirted and let us believe he was a conservative. He's not. He has voted liberal in every election. Okay, pull up his voting record. But the thing about Frank Luntz is he does all these talk groups. And even though they try to stack him at times, he has reluctantly said in the last 6 months on multiple occasions, Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden. With the economy and the border the way it is, most likely Donald Trump will prevail. He said, though, just this weekend, if they pursue Donald Trump with these legal actions, you might as well hand him the election. You got to ask yourself, why would the Democrats continue doing what agitates the people? That's what a lot of us don't understand. Why would you continue to do things, that agitates the people, that makes them angry with you? That's just one of those things you just go, why in the world? I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you, when you're in a relationship, if you're married or you have children, or if you're a boss and you have people that answer to you, and something continues to rub somebody you care about, work with, or have an ongoing relationship the wrong way, you got to ask yourself, to continue to do that, you're either a jerk, you don't care. Now, let's all just take a step back. Try not to be a Democrat, Republican, or an independent just for a moment. Just be an American. Do you really think? Because I've even had some real left-leaning Americans contact me, say, Pastor, I don't want to vote for Trump. I don't think I will, but I'm starting to feel sorry for him. Savvy? What they're doing, even their far left-leaning, whistle-blowing, screaming people are saying, listen, I think you're piling on. Now, it's going to be interesting to see because there's a few things to keep in mind. One is he got the reduced rate, which is make it much more affordable. Secondly, he also announced he's taking his media public. He's set to make between and $3.5 billion. That's huge. Okay, so if Donald Trump makes let's just round it to $3 billion, that almost makes up for everything he's lost, because when he ran for president, if you go look, he was worth on paper between $4 and $5 billion. As the 4 years he served as president, he did not receive a salary. He took all of his salaries and he donated them to charity. Okay, so unlike the other presidents that banked their money, he gave his away, his salary. While he was president, though, he was under continued onslaught of legal fees. He had people boycotting his brand, trying to destroy him. So when he left office, he had gone from between $4 and $5 billion net worth to $2 to $3 billion. Well, as he started his reelection campaign here, after Joe Biden and all the stuff they've caused him, Donald Trump was between $2 and $2.5 billion. He's lost a lot, savvy? So what they were trying to do when they went after him, especially in New York, somebody, I guess through the Discovery Acts or whatever, how they do that, and I'm sure the government knows everything about my money, they saw that he only had about $500 million at best in the bank to liquidate assets. All of his assets were pretty much in real estate. Now, several pundits have said, but the good thing about Donald Trump, he owed less than 10% on all his assets, off his properties. He was in good financial shape. But if they could get that 500 million, whatever they were going after there, that would tie up him. That would hurt his booking the big rallies, the airplane rides, etc. Staff. It would weaken his campaign. That's what they were going after. You'll never convince me otherwise. So him selling Truth Social or doing the merge and getting the $3 billion, I'm hoping it's closer to $4 billion. I'd love to see it. It's like God giving him back everything the cankerworm, if you've known the Bible, says it took away. In one deal, he's about to become where he was back when he ran in 2016. Is that not amazing? So I think it's interesting when they go after Donald Trump and everything they throw at him, the kitchen sink and all, he finds a way. He finds a way to stand up. And he was at the clock, because by midnight tonight, if he didn't come up with the money, they were going to start taking down and supposedly locking down possibly even Trump Tower. And it didn't happen. Not only did he get the amount reduced, he got a 10-day extension. So Donald Trump's got to be feeling pretty good. Now, the other thing is the Stormy Daniel case. You know, the other case, that lady, they said he didn't rape her, but he hurt her feelings, so he had to pay her several $1 million. Well, now the Stormy Daniel case up again, and Stormy's lawyers in prison for trying to do a shakedown, if you remember, of some corporations. This is so crazy that New York is allowing this. Now, I bring that up to say that several different folks on different networks, you can go check it out, are saying businesses are pulling out of New York. That New York in the next 3 to 4 years, possibly, unless something turns around, they're going to, when you lose because they tax so much, when you lose your big people like your Donald Trumps and your big property owners, and they are fleeing because they're like, hey, if they pick on Trump today, they could pick on us tomorrow. So when you lose all these big folks that pay the taxes, that make the investments, that employ a lot of people, when they pull up and they leave, that leaves a lot of vacancies. And what I think is going to happen is you're going to see New York City maybe even become a police looking state per se. You're going to have so much of the folks going there, and they've given up so much, and they were sending American kids home. 4,000 kids, citizens, were sent home so they could use the schools for illegal immigrants. Well, these parents are furious. I know you can imagine. I mean, at different ages, but just take the high school. It's your kid's senior year, the prom, the different things you had planned, and now they're on home learning. No more hanging out with your pals in the hallway. No dances, no getting to those extracurricular activities. It's causing a lot of mayhem, and I'm going to be very interested to see how this plays out, because the Democrats, I believe, are going to be in a situation, if they're not careful, that they could lose and lose big, which means if they try to steal, they'll have to steal in such a way it will be even more obvious in 2020. I believe a lot of folks are seeing the writing on the wall of 2020 of the ballot harvesting and what they did, and it's getting pretty obvious. Some are trying to say it wasn't technically illegal. I don't see how you do that, but whatever makes you sleep at night, you've heard that term. But something about what's going on between now and 2024 by the November, I see that happening. So going back, you've got Donald Trump getting the judgment reduced, getting an extension, having the new deal with Truth Social going to bring him a 3-point bill. And the other thing Donald Trump seems to be getting is a huge sway of minorities. They're leaning Donald Trump's way. I'll play for you some clips of some of the folks, Black America and Hispanic America in particular, that are saying they're supporting Donald Trump. They see him as one of them. And that's the thing also that Frank Luntz and others have said. The more they persecute Donald Trump, the more they are making Donald Trump a victim, if you will. And he's not having to do mean tweets or say mean things. If anything, their meanness has, because you remember Mean Orange Man was kind of the image they portrayed in 2016. Donald Trump was mean. He did the tweets, the name calling. Well, now they've reversed and made the media, made the Democratic Party, the Department of Justice, they're coming across as the mean ones. Donald Trump's coming across as the victim. Very interesting. Very interesting. Got a couple of reports here for us to look at, and I think it's very interesting. One is Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney has just gone on the record, and I don't know if you guys hear this.
That we're in a situation where,
listen,
I believe that we're in a situation where the future of the democracy depends upon making sure the Republicans are not in the majority in the House. And
did you hear that? That was Liz Cheney saying that we need to make sure that Republicans are not in the majority of the House. Now, Liz Cheney from Wyoming and her father, Dick Cheney, the vice president of Bush, have always been supposedly faithful Republicans. But we know them as the rhinos, if you will. Listen again to Liz Cheney basically saying that the Republican Party...
I believe that we're in a situation where the future of the democracy depends upon the democracy depends of the democracy the future of the democracy depends upon making sure the Republicans are not in the majority.
The future of the democracy is making sure Republicans are not in the majority. She goes on to say in the House and the Senate. Are we finally seeing that Democrats that had weaseled into the GOP are finally being exposed? It could be very interesting. Now, when I go up here to my other screen, Republican Ken Buck leaving office next week, shrinking the GOP House majority to just 2. Do you guys remember when this broke a few weeks ago? Now, this is the New York Post. And it says, Colorado Republican Ken Buck will resign next week, making him the third party member to leave office before the end of the 118th Congress. His office announced on the Tuesday. Buck, who is 65, said in a statement, "It was an honor to serve the people of Colorado, but it's time to go." He said, D.C. is corrupt. Okay, but why not finish out your term, sir? You were elected to serve.
This is USA Heartbeat, the pulse of a nation.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. That's 800-659-5731. Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is the Patriot Pastor, Maisel Duncan. I want to introduce to you one of our new sponsors, University Motors of Chattanooga. Kevin Bloom is a great patriot, and University Motors of Chattanooga. My wife's car was bought there, and now my car. I trust them enough that I do business with them. 423-713-5800. NugaUsedCars.com. That's NugaUsedCars.com. And tell them the Patriot Pastor sent you.
At noon, a New York appeals court has given former President Trump 10 more days to post his bond to satisfy the civil fraud judgment. The judge significantly lowered the bond to $175 million. That's from $545 million. Legal experts are calling this a major lifeline for Trump. The ruling will delay efforts by the New York Attorney General to seize Trump properties. The former president had been struggling to come up with the means to post the original bond amount.
Now, that was ABC News. And ABC News, as you guys know, never is someone that gives Trump any favorability. But anyway, that's what the ABC News has out there. And I thought that was a interesting little blip there. But they're basically trying hard not to tell you that Donald Trump got a lifeline, if you will. But I see it as justice, because it's anyone that's put through a court system, you're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty. The problem with Donald Trump's situation in New York, there was no victim. Nobody complained. Okay, so where's the crime if there's no victim? All the banks that loaned him money said they were satisfied and would loan him money again. So it's definitely a witch hunt. And as I told you, Frank Luntz said this is not boding well at the polls. Let's jump to another topic, the border. Now, the number one issue when you go to most presidential polls, what is driving you to vote? It normally was always the economy. Border issue is number one. The economy is number two. No matter what else, you have a view on abortion. You might have a view on just so many other key issues out there. The border is number one. Number two seems to be the economy. Well, here is WION news. Okay, this is over in India. And listen to what India is saying about our border. Okay, check this out.
In other global news, tensions between Texas troopers and migrants escalated on the U.S. side of the border near El Paso. The Texas troopers fired non-lethal projectiles into a crowd that was attempting to dismantle razor wire barriers. Texas has ramped up efforts to fortify the border in recent weeks. On Friday, they erected a second fence on the border and deployed a group of riot police to stop the migrants. Well, earlier last week, a U.S. appeals court began hearing arguments on continuing to block a Republican-backed Texas law. Well, the law would empower state authorities and officials to arrest and prosecute migrants for illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border.
So you've got a situation here that's gotten way out of hand. I think even the lip-locked liberals have to agree Biden has not done well. I mean, we thought Afghanistan was a debacle. That's a happy meal compared to this thing. What he's done with the border is it's pretty atrocious. And what's happened is now these folks feel emboldened. They're feeling like, hey, we don't have to obey your laws coming in. So why would we obey them when we get into the country? You understand that. There is rebellion in their hearts so bad that they're pushing against the fences, against armed military, and they're feeling so emboldened. Somebody has emboldened them to think they don't have to respect authority. Think about that. Let that just settle a little bit. So who in the world would do that? Well, have you ever heard of this guy from New York? And see what you think. See if you recognize. I think he looks like the Penguin, but check out the representative from New York. See if you recognize who this is.
And we need immigrants in this country.
Jerry Nadler. He says we need immigrants in this country. Now this is one of the lip-lock liberals. Now, if you go back when Donald Trump was president, it was pretty much the four leaders, if you will call it, from New York and the four from California, the two coasts that went after Trump the most. Nadler was one of the worst. Check out again what Nadler said. He goes, we need illegal immigrants. And then he'll explain why. He comes kind of truthful. He kind of comes clean. But I don't think you're going to believe it till you hear it from his lips. You won't believe it if I quoted it. Listen to Jerry Nadler from New York, the Penguin, if you will, from Batman.
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm, that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants.
Did you catch that? Our potatoes would rot in the ground if they weren't picked by immigrants, and even used the term illegal immigrants. I thought that was a bad word, Jerry.
The ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants.
That's racist.
The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level.
The birth rate in this country is way below replacement level. Well, shabam there, DNC. How about that? You push it for all these abortions. You push for all these other things to sterilize young people. You push for transgender and homosexual that they can't procreate with those sexual practices. Oh, it's already dawned on you. If we keep that track, we can't procreate and replace the population. Brilliant, Jerry.
Immigrants, many illegal immigrants.
That's racist.
The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level. The birth rate in this country is way below replacement level. The birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them.
So that's one of the reasons that Democrats and Republicans are opening up the border. They need them to work so that they can keep up the government funding and taxing so they can have their lush lifestyle. They're not worried about you and I having Social Security. See, if Social Security ever truly dried up, we would have to go to other means to fund this country. And heaven forbid, we might even have to tap into their private resources.
This is a problem faced by every major country in the world. Few countries, however, have the means to solve this problem through immigration. People want to immigrate to the United States. They do not want to immigrate to China or Russia. We are very...
Shocker! Jerry Nadler just said people don't want to migrate to China or Russia. Now, why is that? It's because it's not a free nation. But the more they try to take America and make it more communistic living, people aren't going to want to come here anymore. I had a friend, Natasha Owens, put a meme on Facebook. And she said, Facebook reminds me of communism. You got one rich guy controlling everything, while the rest of us think we can post freedom of thought. But in actuality, at any time he wants, he can silence us, banish us, and has complete control. And he gets all the money, we get nothing. That's a true statement. Natasha, good one. Well, this is all I'm going to play for Jerry the Nadler today. At the moment, I may replay it later in the show. But I think it's something that we all understand. Now, when we come back, we'll talk about the power of the media, because the media seems to have a lot of power. We'll talk about that. Donald Trump called it the fake news. And if it wasn't for his ability to tweet back in 2016, I don't know if he would have won, because he was able to go around the narratives they were painting and tweet what he actually said or his actual feelings. Well, then they got him banned from Twitter in 2020. So he's created Truth Social. And having a Twitter, if you want to call it an attempt at a twin, Truth Social was an attempt to be like Twitter. Well, then Elon Musk buys out Twitter and brings back free speech, puts Donald Trump, Alex Jones, etc., and those that they had banned back on. He cleaned out the government bureaucrats that were hiding and trying to manipulate the media narratives. So now you've got this situation going full steam ahead. Can you imagine with me going into 2024, if X remains free, freedom of speech, Truth Social merges, and it's already got freedom of speech, could you start seeing groups like Facebook and Instagram taking huge dips? Or the pressure not to be so suppressive of free speech of conservatives. Think about this. If Truth Social and X become juggernauts for conservatives to get their views out, it could be interesting, because I'm on Rumble now. One of the main reasons I went to Rumble is because Facebook kept trying to silence my speech. Like today. My show trying to be broadcast on Facebook has been interrupted 3 times.
If you're a diabetic,
already.
we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families. And you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. Again, that's 800-695-0376.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the show. This is Patriot Pastor Maisel Duncan, and the Maisel Duncan radio show is being broadcast live on streetlevelamerica.com. That's streetlevelamerica.com. We're also on Rumble. We're also on X, True Social, locals.com. And we've also now, of course, we got our Facebook pages. We got 3 Facebook pages. The show is being broadcast live at the moment. So please tell your friends. But streetlevelamerica.com plays not my show, not just right now, but it'll immediately replay it after the show. So if you missed something, go to streetlevelamerica.com. The show is immediately replayed. And any of my shows, you could go to the category and check out the shows. Well, this is when you finally expose the media to everyone. I'd like you to take a listen and see what you think of this. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses the election. Trump says country faces bloodbath if Biden wins. Trump says there will be bloodbath and elections will end if he isn't reelected. CBS, Epic Times, all these different things report about this bloodbath.
Bloodbath. Bloodbath.
It's horrible. Horrible. Just horrible.
The clip the media is showing.
If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
But we just have to win this election because he's even predicting a bloodbath. What does that mean? He's going to exact a bloodbath? There's something wrong here. How respectful I am of the American people and their goodness. But how much more do they have to see from him to understand that this isn't what our country is about.
Something about that woman just doesn't seem right.
Because she's a liar. She's a lying liar.
The clip with correct context.
China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars.
Well, I'll be damned.
Then this can only be one person.
Fake news.
So a lot of folks having fun with this. The bloodbath. Do you remember all that? Well, what makes them have these, these media pylons? Well, here is Barack Obama explaining it. Check it out. 2012.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions.
Now, did you hear it? This is Obama when he was president in 2012. He says it's not necessary that they believe it. Listen to this again. This is Mr. Barry Soetoro. Some of you know as Barack Hussein Obama. His birth name was Barry Soetoro. But listen to Barry.
It's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough.
You just have to flood the country's public square. So he said again, I'll replay it. It doesn't matter if you believe it. You just flood the public square with so much minutia, if you will, to where folks will just back up and say, well, I guess we have to accept it. I don't think so. Let's listen to Barry one more time, and I won't interrupt, okay? Let's give Mr. Barry a little bit of respect.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. That citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
Okay. Did you hear that? He said the game is won. Let me replay that.
Of truth, the game's won. In each other, in the possibility of truth, of truth, of truth, the game's won.
Okay. I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
That was Ronald Reagan. So you've got Obama pretty much saying, just keep flooding the with a lot of stuff, and eventually people are just going to give up. And some of you have to admit, especially the Christian community, we're bad about just saying, okay, I don't want any trouble. So they're yelling a lot more over there. So I'm just going to sit here and drink my tea and crumpets, and I'm not going to do anything. That's what they're counting on. Well, check this out. This is President Nixon talking about the media, and I want you to see what you think. He's spot on. This was out when he was out of office. He tells us about the media, and it's very true.
More power than most people would like to think. When we think of the media in this country, well, they have much more power than most people would like to think. When we think of the media in this country, the problem is that they have a sense of self-righteousness, a double standard on issue after issue after issue. They can find everything wrong with somebody else, but they will not look inside and ever admit that they could be wrong themselves.
Did you hear that? They'll find wrong in everybody else, but they'll never look inside. Is that why CNN has probably more employees than viewers now? Is that why ABC, ESPN, and Disney have had to lay off over 500 employees in the last 2 years? Interesting. Let's listen to this is former President Richard Nixon, and this is nothing but truth bomb. Listen to President Nixon.
Well, they have much more power than most people would like to think. When we think of the media in this country, the problem is that they have a sense of self-righteousness, a double standard on issue after issue after issue. They can find everything wrong with somebody else, but they will not look inside and ever admit that they could be wrong themselves. And what was involved here in the Watergate thing was the unfairness of it. Oh, there was a legitimate thing to investigate, but they refused to balance it. They allowed their advocacy to get ahead of their reporting, which is their job to do.
Now, the thing that they don't tell you is out of the 5 supposedly journalists that broke the story, only 1 was a true journalist. 4 were CIA agents. Oh, they forgot to tell you that, didn't they? So you got a lot of problem with the media being fair, and I think that's true. Now, here's a case.
2 people have been arrested in the murder of.
I'd like to bring up, and this is the squatting rights. And just listen to the way he reports his story, and he almost makes you feel sorry for the squatters a little bit. See what you think.
2 people have been arrested in the murder of a woman whose body was found in a duffel bag inside a Kips Bay apartment on the east side of Manhattan. U.S. Marshals confirm an 18 and a 19-year-old were taken into custody in York, Pennsylvania, about 185 miles from the crime scene. CBS 2's Alice Gaynor spoke with family members of the suspects.
U.S. Marshals arrested 19-year-old Hallie Tejada and 18-year-old Kensley Alston in York, Pennsylvania early Friday morning for allegedly possessing a stolen car. According to the U.S. Marshals, the 2 are considered suspects in the beating death of 52-year-old Nadia Vitels. Her body was found inside a duffel bag shoved into a closet near the front door of apartment 19A at this building on 31st Street by concerned family who came to check on her after they couldn't reach her. An NYPD source says it's alleged that Tejada and Alston were squatting in the apartment when Vitels showed up to either move herself or someone else in.
So here you got a lady that was beaten to death in her own apartment, put in a duffel bag, and the 2 that they feel did it, that stole her car and traveled out of state, they're acting all apologetic. I don't know. The media, just to me, they don't want to respect Americana and the values. They try to find a way to just skirt and skate out of it. And I think a lot of folks are just concerned that's the problem. And I don't know. I am one of these that says, hey, I think America wants more out of what we're given. And I don't know. We'll talk about some of it when we come back. Trying to see if I've got the spot here. Well, I guess it'll come up in the next segment. Well, going back to Liz Cheney, we talked about that. She kind of went rogue on us. A lot of folks are concerned that Ronna McDaniel has joined the liberal NBC and MSNBC as a contributor after RNC ouster. Remember, she's Mitt Romney's niece, if you will, and Ronna McDaniel has found a new home after being ousted by the RNC chairwoman. Wow. We'll talk about that later in the show. there seems to be concern from lip-lock liberal land that she can't be trusted.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some
How can I
money.
build
So
credit
call
if I don't have
Life
any?
Insurance
With the time
Online
credit
right
builder
now for
card.
free pricing information.
800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. That's 800-932-3721.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
I'm proud to be an American.
This is the Patriot Pastor Maisel Duncan, and if you're looking for small projects like porches, patios, walkways, or even large projects like foundation work, Patriot Concrete is there for you. Cameron Lee, 423-215-6365. We've used Cameron for many projects at Appleton Baptist Church, and he and his team are awesome. That's 423-215-6365. These are all veterans that served our country. Let them serve you. Patriot Concrete is there for you.
Two of former President Donald Trump's legal cases colliding today in New York City. Just a few minutes ago, we learned the court ruled Trump can post a lower bond to cover that $464 million civil fraud judgment that now sits at $175 million. Now, if he and his sons are not able to pay that, New York's Attorney General could begin the process of seizing their assets. Here's Eric Trump on Fox News.
Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing. They were laughing. Yeah. Top executives of the largest surety companies had never seen anything of this size.
Trump's also expected to appear in court today for a hearing in the hush money case with Stormy Daniels. That trial was supposed to begin today, but defense attorneys have been arguing for more time after more evidence was turned over by prosecutors.
So this is going to be interesting. Donald Trump is found guilty with no criminal. They said it's a crime, but there's no victim. The banks that loaned him the money said they'd loan to him again. No one filed a complaint. But Letitia James and Edgeron said that he inflated the value of his property. And they're because he did that, even though all the others do that at times, it's up to the lender to do due diligence and come and do a second audit, if you will, of the property. And if they want to negotiate and say, hey, we don't think it's worth so much, that's on them. It's not a crime, if you will. That's at least that's what everyone else is saying. It's in real estate. I'm not in real estate, so I don't understand all the details. But the bottom line, I think folks realize this has been a witch hunt. So what you have right now going on in New York, you have a truckers, if you want to call it a boycott. There's a lot of issues in New York with that. You've got the rich, that's the blue collar. Then you have the white collar, the elites saying they're afraid to invest at the moment because they don't know the governor and the legal people there in the in that southern district of New York. Will they be next? You know, it looks like you cross the Democrats or you don't pay up, they're going to come after you. Now, I did a theory on this, and I'll tell you why I think they're going after Donald Trump. I think he upset the sex mafia there in New York. If you go back and do your research, don't take my word for it. Donald Trump was a Democrat for most of his adult life. He only became a Republican when he ran for president. Remember? Don't forget, Ronald Reagan was a former Democrat. Elon Musk is a lifelong Democrat. He just became Republican. Okay, it's not uncommon. Tulsi Gabbard has left the Democratic Party. She is an independent. Kristen Sinema, the congresswoman out of Arizona, she has left, and now she's an independent. You have the West Virginia senator who said he cannot promise that in 2024 he'll still be a Democrat. So you're seeing the Democratic Party, folks leaving for various reasons, but Donald Trump, prior to running for office, the Democrats loved him. He was invited to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Okay? Hillary and Bill didn't invite people they didn't like. So he was both sides of the aisle loved Donald Trump until he ran for president. Okay? Let's just be clear. But what he did when he became president, because he lived in New York and he was a Democrat, he knew things. Don't you find it interesting under Donald Trump's watch that NXIVM sex cult, Lanier and Allison Mack went down? Allison Mack used to be on the TV series Smallville. That's the Superman series. Okay, she was first arrested because she was trying to exploit and get other people either in the modeling, the singing, or the acting industry into this sex cult called NXIVM. Rainier, who was the founder, would get you in there and get you to divulge all kinds of sexual secrets. And then once you passed off his test, you then would let you brand him, ladies, your genital area with his initials. That was the Grand Poopah. I played some of the excerpts of some of the women that said it was worse than childbirth, the pain. Okay? So when Rainier and Allison Mack went down, all of a sudden then Epstein goes down. Savvy? Jeffrey Epstein, they couldn't nail to the wall, but who had a big apartment in New York? Savvy? Well, then after Rainier and Allison Mack went down, Epstein went down, Harvey Weinstein goes down. You paid attention? Also in New York. After those guys went down, rapper Kelly went down. And don't forget, Bill Cosby had already gone down. All this sexual perversion in New York. What else happened? The Ellen DeGeneres show, who had the same set. If you go back and look at the original set, it looked just like Epstein Island. All of a sudden, her show is canceled because she can't get along with people behind the scenes. Are you buying that? All these things started happening in New York. So the sex mafia wants back at Donald Trump because he cost them a lot of money. You understand the sex trafficking is much more profitable than drugs, guns, or anything else. The biggest value on the black market is children. Selling children is above drugs and guns. So when Donald Trump shut down New York sex trafficking by taking out NXIVM, Allison Mack Rainier, that he finally took down Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, rapper Kelly, who liked to rape little boys, then Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah gets exposed, her buddy John of God, the prophet, goes down and gets jailed. Just go back. All this happened while Donald Trump was president. He shut down the border for one. He shut down a lot of these sex clubs. And don't forget, when Hillary Clinton decided to run for Senate, they lived in Arkansas. Why back in the 90s did they decide to move to New York and have their resident in New York? Don't you think if they were a successful president from Arkansas, she should run in Arkansas to be a senator? Oh, no. She came to New York. And there was a guy, John F. Kennedy Jr., that was a shoo-in for that Senate seat. So in 1999, all of a sudden he has a plane wreck. A lot of skepticism to that, because as soon as it went down, the news was all ready to show you all these details of their chart flight. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable how quick the media had all that information. Some said he's not dead. Some said he was, etc. Bottom line, Hillary Clinton, why did she want to be in New York? Well, then you come across the Huma Abedin, the laptop, and her Huma Abedin's Anthony Weiner's laptop, right before Donald Trump was made president. Remember, that was the laptop from hell, not Hunter Biden's. And Anthony Weiner's laptop had videos of Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, his wife, who was Hillary's number one person that took care of her details, having sex with children. There were 10 police officers that committed suicide supposedly after reviewing that. These were very professional police officers that were throwing up watching the video. They said it was so disgusting. So you got to act. When Donald Trump became president, all these things started happening. A lot of things became uncovered. Makes you wonder. Donald Trump arrested more pedophiles and sexual offenders in his 4 years than all presidents from Jimmy Carter through Obama. Check it out. So Donald Trump, living in New York, being a Democrat, he knew where all the parties were. He knew what they did. I'm not saying he was a saint. When I say I voted for Donald Trump, I wasn't voting for a pastor. I was voting for a president. I'm more convinced now than I even was in 2016, and I voted for him in 2020. I'm more convinced now he is a lot more moral, a lot more. It's just off the chart. He loves his country. That's why he started the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, nationalism. And now they're trying to make fun of us that are Christians, calling us Christian nationals. Savvy? See, the globalists, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, all these things. Go look at Lockstep 2010 by the Rockefellers. Go look up Agenda 2030. They had a long game planned to turn pretty much the world into a global entity. They want to get rid of all national sovereignties and all national rulings. The World Health Organization is pushing right now that all nations give up their sovereignty, that if we have another global pandemic, that the World Health Organization would override or supersede any national leadership or national laws. Be wise, my friend. You could see blue helmet UN soldiers knocking on your door. You say you're a non-vaxxer, or you say you don't agree with what's going on across the sea in another country, and they may start telling you, listen, that's the way it's going to be for everybody. Biblically, that's called the Antichrist. It's going to happen eventually. The Bible is very clear that one day there will be a world leader that will be trusted. He'll lead for 7 years. The first 3.5 will be peaceful, and the people will embrace. But the last 3.5 will be so bad that if the days were not shortened, they would not survive. So you got to ask yourself, 7 years is pretty much almost a term of a president, a 2-term president. The first 3.5 are good, but the next 3.5 are bad. Could be an American president becomes the dictator of the world. Don't know. But the bottom line is this. You and I as believers, we have an obligation to not be faithful Democrat or faithful Republicans. We have an obligation to be truth tellers and seek the truth. Jesus told us to be salt and light. What he meant by that is salt is a preservative. We're supposed to help preserve the culture. And light, we're supposed to expose darkness. But too many times Christians, we're just not relying. So many people will say, oh, I'm a Christian. I believe God. I love God and country. I love God and country. But I don't go to church. I don't study my Bible. I don't try to educate with biblical worldview. You see, you can't just say it because it sounds cool or looks good on a T-shirt. We're not talking bumper stickers here. We're talking life. And that's something I encourage you and challenge you to do. I know some churches are wackadoodle, and when you go, you may not like everything. You may not like the style of this or that, but the bottom line, you go to bring what you have, your talents, into a community of faith. And if everybody would just become active and prayerful and kind, You can work out what little obstacles you have and become a great salt for your community and light so the children have a safe place to live. Oh, church out there, wherever you are, unite with other believers. Mend your fences. Build your bridges. And make sure when you can that you just say, hey, it's about God. Now, we run an Ampersand food pantry. We feed about 3,000 to 3,500 every month. I've got vaxxers and non-vaxxers. I got folks that voted for Trump. I got folks that voted for Biden. I got folks that are Democrat. I got Republicans. I got independents. I got Scooby-Doos down there. And you say, Mason, how do you get them all to get along? We stay to the task, loving God and loving others. That's what God talks about. He doesn't say get so jacked up over your denominations and all these other things that divide us. Stay to the task. Love God, love others. Okay? And if someone's a Democrat, now I'm not really a Republican. I call myself a conservative independent. But I usually vote Republican because they tend to have the better choices of the two. But if an independent ran for president or for office that I felt more biblically aligned with, I would vote for them. The Democrats are finding out they're taking the black vote for granted, and a lot of black folks are pushing back. But the Republicans have taken the Christian vote for granted, and a lot of Christians and Judeo people of faith are pushing back. I think it's very ripe in America for a third party. If we had a third party, now, what would probably happen if you had a third party? It would become pretty much the moderate camp, because the liberals have taken over, and the Democrats have gone so far left. The Republicans keep trying to please everybody. They can't remember who they came to the dance with. You know, they're just they flirt with everybody. They'll whisper sweet nothings to conservatives. They'll whisper sweet nothings to moderates, but they don't want to be pinned down with any labels because they don't want to stand for anything, because they just think to win they have to embrace and hug everything, kiss every pig, and hug everything they can. I think they're going to find out in certain parts of the country that's not flying. So if a third party comes in, it'll be middle. It'll probably be your Joe Manchin types, your Tulsi Gabbards, your Liz Cheney. Okay, but those folks will probably be the ripe Christian cinemas. They'll be ripe for a third party right there in the middle. But the good news that would probably push the Republicans to the far right. And that's what we need. But the bottom line is this. Say Joe Biden wins in 2024. And let's say the Democrats win the House and the Senate. A lot of you say, well, that's the end of the world. It might look that way. But I could say this with all my heart. I'm going to do everything I can to promote freedom, promote godliness, promote biblical values. And at the end of the day, if it looks like I'm outnumbered, I'm just going to pray for your eyes to be opened, much like Elisha did his servant, because I see fiery chariots all over this country. And I know my God is big enough. At the drop of a hat, in the moment, God can bring revival and spark something across this country. Let me give you just an early example. Look what happened with Caitlin Clark. Women's sports was under siege. All we could talk about a year ago was all these guys, these dudes that couldn't make it in guy sports. And so they're trying to pretend to be girls so they can look like winners when they're really deep down losers at both levels. They lose among men, and they're really losers because they're picking on girls. Okay? But all of a sudden, a champion rose. Her name's Caitlin Clark. She brought, kind of, if you will, a revival to women's sports. And alongside her, you got Riley, who's finally gotten all of her medals and all the accolades she should have got from Leah Thompson. All of a sudden, America pushed back. The Budweiser pushing back on Dylan Mulvaney, etc. America said, I don't want this minutia in my face. And because they pushed back, what you're finding out, in my opinion, is people saying we want women to succeed. That's what Title IX was all about. We want women's sports. And all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark, she's kind of like the female Superman, if you will, or Supergirl. She has come and she has dominated. And now everywhere she goes, they pack the stadiums. The ticket prices for women's sports is up. And the WNBA, the team that's pretty much going to draft her because of the way they do the drafting, has already doubled their season ticket prices for next year. And what's that tell you? High expectations. And all it took was one person to do things the right way, and it changed the whole narrative. If Caitlin Clark can turn around women's sports, don't think God can't do other things like it. He can turn this country around. He might just be waiting for you, my friend, to step up and surrender your gifts and your abilities and show some boldness in your area of the country. And you may think, I don't have a big voice. I don't have a big following. It says where two or more gather my name, there will I be also. If you're a Christian, believe in that, embrace that, and get a prayer partner. Say, let's pray for this country. Let's pray for our school system. Let's pray for our community, our county. And let's see if we can't see something happen that we might help spark a difference in. Because if you're waiting for politicians to save this country, friend, you might as well forget it. Speaker Johnson, I'm so disappointed. Here he is, supposed to be a strong Christian man, and I really thought he was. And I'm not saying that he's not a Christian, but he capitulated. Now, I had someone say, well, we don't know that if they threatened his wife or kids. You can throw all this what ifs. Bottom line, he capitulated on that bill. And he gave in. Now, does that make him the ultimate bad guy of all the world? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks so, and Chip Roy from Texas, but I'm still going to pray for the guy. But it's a mess. It's a mess. This country has got several things that kind of get us all going, hey, what can we expect? So anyway, I kind of spoke my heart there to you, and when I do that, sometimes I get carried away. But here's about Marjorie Taylor Greene and about Speaker Johnson. See what you think.
South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman. Congressman, good morning. Good to see you.
Great to be with you, Rob and Charlotte.
So here's the headline from NBC News. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene files motion to oust Mike Johnson as Speaker. Johnson formally took over in November, and you are mentioned. Congressman Ralph Norman remained non-committal on a motion to vacate, saying he wants to hear a plan from Greene for who would take over as Speaker if Johnson is ousted. Explain that.
Well, we learned before, Rob, that it's a lengthy process, and we went through 5, 6 candidates, and personally, I don't think that while I disagree with what Speaker Johnson did on the budget, that's history now. It's signed into law. We're going to spin this country into oblivion, which I disagree with. But I would not vote to vacate Mike Johnson. He's a good man.
Now that's Ralph Northam. Now here's Chip Roy, and see what you think, boy, he has to say.
Time.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Well, the distinguished former majority leader brings up FSGG, the Financial Services Bill. What he left out was the fact that we're going to give $200 million to the FBI for its new headquarters, even after Republicans touted in the last massive omnibus bill that we were cutting the FBI, and then relied upon getting rid of an earmark in Alabama to claim that it was a bigger cut than it really is. Now what is happening to the American people? Guess what? The FBI is getting a brand new shiny headquarters despite running ramshot over the American people, spying on them. And by the way, we extended FISA to continue spying on the American people.
So you got Chip Roy pretty upset that part of this new bill was to give the FBI a new building. And here's the FBI song some of you have been asking for. I've played this a few times.
One take. In 1908, in Washington, D.C., a police force was formed to protect both you and me. It started with 10 men, and it grew and grew and grew. And now we got the right to do anything we want to. My, oh my, I'm working for the FBI. FBI, oh yeah, I said, my, oh my, I'm working for the FBI. And if we come a knocking, oh, you better run and hide. You better, buddy. I got a badge and a gun and unlimited funds. And if we're on your tail, we'd love to see you run, 'cause I'm working for the FBI. Yeah. And if we testify, you know, we're gonna lie. That's right, we're gonna lie through our teeth.
So these guys, I think, are a little jaded at the FBI, and so I don't know where you're at on this, but that's the thing about this bill that Speaker Johnson let be brought for. And I'm sorry, Speaker Johnson, you're not going to tell me, oh, I didn't know that was in there. Sir, that's why you're the Speaker. You should not pass anything that your legal team, your advisors, and your minions, if you will, haven't read and explained to you. But some of the things that are in that bill are egregious to conservatives. And for whatever reason, but it reminds me of the moment when Bush Sr. was doing well. Desert Storm, he had a 96 approval rating. He looked like a lock for re-election. But he made a statement, read my lips, no new taxes. Do you remember that? And then what did he do? He got talked by the Democrats into raising taxes. He lost re-election. Of course, he famously looked at his watch during the debate and looked like he was not interested. Speaker Johnson, we're reading your lips, pal. And what you said and what you just did, they don't match. I think you're going to have a tough time unless something changes between now and November. Very disappointed. Well, as we get ready to lock down here, going to the break. This is the Patriot Pastor Show, and I appreciate all you guys that listen to the show and tell your friends. As you start thinking about being on, like I am, I'm on Rumble, I'm on YouTube now. I've got a locals.com. We're on X, Facebook, True Social. We're on a lot of stuff. We're on Street Level America in 32 states. And Mexico and Canada. That's wonderful. But you've got to be careful what you say. Have you heard about this lady? Ruby Frank's journal detailing cruel torture of children released by authorities. Evidently, this was a mom that was an influencer on social media. And she would tell folks, I guess, how to raise your children, if you will. But evidently, she was a little bit on the cray-cray side because there's a lot of things coming out, even as funny and as charming as she came across in some of the videos. I've seen a few of the replays. Evidently, she would duct tape her kids' ankles and wrists together and sound like a little bit over the top. So she is now facing charges, and she's in court and for child abuse. And as you can see her, she's in the striped prison garb. And that's got to be, I mean, to go from being a famous social influencer to boom, you end up in jail. What a nosedive. What a nosedive. So I think that's something. Now I've got some of my followers that send me stuff, and I appreciate those that sent me that. I still don't have all the skinny on that story, so I'm not going to comment on it too much.
I could use a little help. Yeah, there's a lot of risk out there.
Now, Indiana high school student gets custom flag. I don't know if you heard about this kid. He got in trouble for braining a flag in the back of his truck. And so what did he do? He got the whole truck wrapped. Someone wrapped the whole truck patriotic. So he got in trouble, was told to remove your flag. He said, I don't think so. He stood up for his right to keep a flag, an American flag, on American soil. This is a kid in Indiana that was told by the principal, you can't have a flag waving in your truck. It might upset somebody. Well, I'll tell you what, you've pissed off the nation, friend, because we say, yes, he can have a flag. And look what happened. Those of you that can't see, the video, but those that can't, you can use your imagination.
Student who fought to keep his American flag on his truck not only ended up being able to do that, but was also honored by the community. Yeah, and now that same truck.
The community wrapped his truck in an American flag. And it's the same truck, but now it's completely patriotic.
Deutsch, and if you or your business owe money to the IRS, I've got great news for you. Tax laws have changed. Billions of dollars are earmarked for IRS Fresh Start programs. And if you qualify, you can literally save tens of thousands of dollars. Listen, I know what you're going through. Call me if you want to speak with a tax attorney or tax professional for free.
800-964-0270. That's 800-964-0270.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you. We promise. Call a tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. That's 800-659-5731. Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. I'm Maisel Duggan here, and I am broadcasting live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we're in Street Level America, the new studio they put here in my office. And I appreciate Street Level America putting up a private studio. I don't have to travel back and forth into the city now. But we're still making some adjustments, and I appreciate your patience. But it's really a much better situation for me, and I appreciate that. If you haven't heard, I've got a new book out, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith by Maisel Duncan. This book just came out the end of October last year of 2023. But Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith by me is a book about some true life stories. I give some biblical insight on life. I've got a chapter, for instance, on bitterness, how to handle bitterness in relationships. But also got some funny stories. I talk about our food pantry. We feed thousands of people a month, and how God used it to transform our church from being more mindful of those outside the walls instead of those inside the walls. See, that's a problem in a lot of churches. They're worried about the big show on Sunday and everything inside their buildings so much they don't really go out to the masses. We have a street ministry. We go out and help out veterans. We take food and supplies down to those on the streets in the tent cities. We help out the hungry at our food pantry. We rent out 2 grocery stores up the road. So if you'd like to donate, go to online at www.appisonbaptist.com. That's appisonbaptist.com. Go to the finance section and help us feed the hungry. We appreciate any and all donations. This is Biden's 1.2 government spending bill. This is Fox News explanation. This is what Speaker Johnson got us into. See what you think.
Biden, about an hour ago, signed a massive spending package to keep the government funded. The Senate finally passed it overnight, 2 hours after the midnight deadline and more than 12 hours after the House passed it. But that was only part of the drama, as Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to remove House Speaker Mike Johnson. And another congressman announced he'll be resigning early, shrinking the GOP narrow House majority. Madeline Rivera is live in Washington with all of the details. And Madeline, what a drama.
It is. Hey, Anita, but this ends the months-long fight over government funding. In a statement, the president says this agreement represents a compromise, which means neither side got everything it wanted. But the bipartisan spending bill rejects extreme cuts from House Republicans and expands access to child care, invests in cancer research, funds mental health and substance use care, advances American leadership abroad, and provides resources to secure the border that my administration successfully fought to include. The Senate syncing up with the House overnight, voting 74-24 to pass this $1.2 trillion spending package. It funds key agencies, including the Departments of Defense, State, and Homeland Security. But conservatives, especially those in the House, aren't happy with how the vote went down in their chamber. They're angry over the lack of border provisions, the number of earmarks, and the fact that Democrats gave this bill a massive boost to get it through the finish line. That's why Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. Still, a lot of Republicans aren't looking to do a repeat of the same maneuver that cost former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy his job in the fall and the painful process of finding his replacement. Couple that with the fact that come April, House Republicans will only have a one-vote margin, with Wisconsin Congressman Mike Gallagher set to resign that month. So some GOP members are afraid all the party infighting could cost them their already narrow majority.
And that's the sad thing. The GOP has come across as somewhat called petulant, but Republican Representative Ken Buck said he's leaving office. And so after Ken Buck left, let me pull this up. House GOP majority shrinks to 2 when Ohio lawmaker announces his early resignation. And House Republican already slim majority will dwindle even further later this month when Representative Bill Johnson from Ohio. Well, that was a few weeks ago. Well, now we've got one more to add to the list. And out of Wisconsin, we've got the Great Resignation continues, and yet another GOP representative is exiting. And what this guy's doing, Mike Gallagher, he's intentionally resigning in April, meaning he can't have his seat vacated or filled. If he would just go ahead and resign now, the governor or someone can fill his seat. He's purposely waited till after the deadline so that they will be in lame duck session. So having these 3 key Republicans back away, it's putting Speaker Johnson at a very peculiar place. So I'm not saying that to excuse him, but it might explain why he caved a little with the Democrats, because if they want to, they could put a challenge to Democrats, not the Republicans, because all it takes is one person on the floor to challenge the speakership. It would go to a vote. And then if all the Democrats, the 212, vote in lockstep with Hakeem Jeffries, all it would take is 1 or 2 Republicans, at this point it looks like, and Speaker Johnson's gone. So you see maybe why he felt the pressure to negotiate. I don't know. We're not there. There's a lot probably that if we knew, we probably would not sleep well at night. But the bottom line is it's not a happy situation. And to see these guys continually jumping ship, I guess my problem is this. You go up there and you don't like what's happening. Okay. You finish the term. Okay, it's like a kid. My dad told me, hey, son, if you join a team, you can't quit. There was a particular coach I didn't like in junior high, and I wanted to quit the basketball team. And my dad said, no, you can't quit. I said, Dad, I don't like the coach. He goes, tough. You're letting your team down. Now, if you don't want to try out the next year, that's fine. But you made the team. you will finish the season. And I'm kind of glad he did because they ended up making up with the coach and had a good experience. It happens. These three feckless people, in my opinion, very selfish, are putting the country at risk. Not finishing your term. Now I can understand if your wife got sick or you became ill or you had a true dire emergency, that would make some sense. But these three guys are going home because somebody took their marbles and somebody didn't play well with them or something. They sound like petulant little children that didn't get their way. So I'm going to show you nana nana boo boo. No wonder people don't trust you politicians. And the sad thing, this is supposed to be the mature party, the GOP. This is very disturbing to me. I really thought there were some smarter people in D.C. than this. It's making you doubt, hey, is there anybody up there that truly wants to lead? Is everybody for sale? Is all your votes for sale? I ask you, Mr. and Ms. Politician, do you only get involved in politics so to benefit your personal net gain? Do you really care about your constituents? It's a question we may not have answered anytime in the near future. Well, again, this is the breaking news in New York.
Former President Donald Trump's legal cases colliding today in New York City. Just a few minutes ago, we learned the court ruled Trump can post a lower bond to cover that $464 million civil fraud judgment that now sits at $175 million. Now, if he and his sons are not able to pay that, New York's Attorney General could begin the process of seizing their assets.
So Donald Trump got a break. And he got it cut in half, and he also got a 10-day extension. So I think that proves that Lolita James and Edron already in this first level of appeals has already been deemed excessive. As it goes to other levels, I think there's a chance Donald Trump has all this kicked out and all of his resources delivered back to him. I think it could be interesting. But this is Frank Luntz. The pollster. Now, make no mistake, he's no conservative. Now, we used to think he was when he started out. We thought on Fox News, hey, here's a conservative. No, he has voted liberal at all of his. Go check his voting record. He hates Trump. He's voted against Trump every time. But listen to what he says, and this is interesting. He's on CNN. This is the Lip Lock Liberal Network, and they're in total shock of what he says, but it's true. They keep on pursuing this. They're going to make Donald Trump the president. Check out liberal Frank Luntz. And interesting.
All right, Frank, the politics of this. Folks in the Biden campaign are already starting to refer to Donald Trump as broke Don, which is interesting. And then there is the possibility that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, would start seizing assets, maybe even buildings. How do you think that would play?
I want you to remember this moment, and don't forget it. If the New York Attorney General starts to take his homes away, starts to seize his assets, it's all going to be on camera. Pundits are going to sit there and scream about this. This man cannot be elected. You're going to create the greatest victimhood of 2024, and you're going to elect Donald Trump. If they take his stuff, he's going to say that this is proof that the federal government and the establishment and the swamp in Washington and all the politicians across the country and the attorneys generals and all of this, that this is a conspiracy to deny him the presidency. He's going to go up in the polls just like he went up every single time they indicted him. The indictment, let's not talk about whether it's justified or not, but it will prove the things that he's saying on the campaign trail, and he will go up, and it may just elect him president. Do not forget that. And I say this to the Attorney General right now. If you play politics on this, this is what the secretaries of state did in Colorado and what they did in, I believe, is Maine. His numbers went up in both states. I don't understand. I'm almost speechless in how pathetic the opposition to Trump has been and how completely misguided. And this is a perfect example of it.
Booyah. Now, that's Frank Luntz. And if you can go watch the clip, you should, because the other CNN pundits are very much in shock.
This is USA Heartbeat, the pulse of a nation.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
This is the Patriot Pastor Maisel Duncan. I want to introduce to you one of our new sponsors, University Motors of Chattanooga. Kevin Bloom is a great patriot, and University Motors of Chattanooga. My wife's car was bought there, and now my car. I trust him enough that I do business with them. 423-713-5800. NugaUsedCars.com. That's NugaUsedCars.com. And tell them the Patriot Pastor sent you.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families. And you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. Again, that's 800-695-0376.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Well, my friends, have you ever heard the term "go woke, go broke"? We've talked about it on the show before, and you guys all have probably acknowledged the Bud Lighting, etc. When these folks go woke and they try to push it down your throat, there's a price to be paid. Or if you put so many woke policies, it's hard for folks to want to acknowledge your business, etc. Well, we've got right now Best Buy. The woke Best Buy announces closure of 24 stores this year, with an additional 10 to 15 expected next year. This is interesting. In a recent earnings call, Best Buy, a woke retail giant, announced the closure of 24 stores 2024, with an additional 10 to 15 stores expected to shut down in the fiscal year of 2025. Okay. While the specific locations of the impending closures have not been disclosed, this decision is part of Best Buy's broader efforts to adopt its retail footprint in the changing consumer shopping habits in an increasingly digital marketplace. As of now, Best Buy operates over 1,000 stores across the United States. In fiscal 24, we closed 24 stores. And in fiscal 25, we expect to close 10 to 15 more stores, said Matt Blianas, Best Buy's chief financial officer, in a transcript to ABC News. As our ongoing practice, we will continue to buy existing traditional stores. In our ongoing practice, we will continue to close existing traditional stores during our rigorous review of stores as they leases come up for renewal. If you're one of these that likes Best Buy, you better go buy something, because evidently they're tracking the stores that aren't producing much revenue, and they're closing them down. Now, this is interesting. This is exactly what a lot of folks predicted would happen because COVID, if you remember when it shut down, and that's why we called it the plandemic, not the pan, but the plan. I think part of the plan was to make us more reliable on ordering online so that we won't have to get out. And I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but just think with me. If you have to order online and you're not getting out and you're not traveling as much, then you might be more convinced to buy an EV and not a gasoline or combustion engine, because you're not going far anyway. Savvy? And if they get you used to staying at home or buying everything from around, having it shipped to your house, they can control you. Because right now, if Americans chose to, they could gas up their cars and you could go from Chattanooga, Tennessee to California with an EV. Oh, no. You'd have to sit there and plan. You'd have to pay out the nose. You'd have to plot where are the recharging units along the journey. And then you have to wait your turn. And you have to also pay for hotels and extra meals, because you might have to wait a day to get your turn, then spend a day charging your vehicle. Savvy? Makes it longer, makes it more expensive, and makes traveling only for the elite. Where you and I could stay at a thing some call 15-minute cities, where they could keep you in little areas where you can walk and travel to any of your main necessities within 15 minutes of your house. Now, I just ask you to think with me. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just practically, if you wanted to take the freedoms away from Americans, you can have your Second Amendment rights, but if you can only go so far on foot, most of us are out of shape, and you don't have the petroleum to go over. They're going to limit, if you want to call it, the option of a militia or being able to respond to a neighbor in a neighboring state, much like Kyle Rittenhouse did. He went across state lines to help a friend at a car lot. Just saying. Keep that in mind. Because a lot of this stuff, I think, could come back a decade from now and show that it was nothing more than a plan to demobilize citizens. Because once you're demobilized, because look what happened in the pandemic again. You weren't allowed to go to a gym, get your hair cut, or church. Those were not seen as essential. But you could go get an abortion, you could go buy liquor, and you could go get a lap dance, because the nudie clubs, the liquor stores, and the abortion clinics, well, those were essential. They didn't want you to feel good about yourself, because when you stay inside at long lengths of time, Depression, and they proved it. Depression almost tripled during COVID. Suicide rates soared. They have your mind, and all you do is you're watching over and over again some of their minutia. Be smart, my friends, because if you ever want to fight against a COVID-19, you need vitamin D from the sun. You guys know this. I'm preaching to the choir here. Best Buy is gone, but I'll tell you the good news is Blaze Media just reported that studies show that we may be very wrong about Gen Z. Generation Z has some shocking good news. Gen Z, those born between the years of 1997 and 2012, get a bad rap. Often they're characterized as lazy, entitled, chronically anxious, and tech addicts. That may be true to some, okay? And these stereotypes. But Zoomers actually have some good qualities that are now emerging as they're getting older. Check this out. Isabel Brown, a Gen Z author and conservative voice, shared some pleasant surprised of things as she was going through these studies. Okay, due to smart devices and advancing technology, modern society has adapted to be heavily virtual, and apparently Gen Z is tired of it. Okay, Gen Z is saying, we want a little bit more than that. We want more substance. We want more purpose. So, for instance, dating apps. They're getting tired of some of the dating apps. They're very dissatisfied because they feel it's taking out of the ability to meet. And 93% of Gen Z said they want to get married. They don't want to just live in celestial sexual relationships. That was a shocker. I think a lot of folks were glad to hear that are conservatives. But if you skip on down, when I say conservative, it doesn't necessarily mean MAGA red, okay? She says culturally embracing traditional values, okay? What does every young generation have in common throughout all human history? She asked. We want to rebel against the people who came before us. That's only natural, okay? For Zoomers, sticking to the man, it's quite literally believing there is such a thing as objectivism. It means wanting to get married instead of sleep with as many people as possible. And it's wanting to have kids in a society that you want to raise them up as the way you see fit. Even in the hustle and bustle of city life, which generally attracts a younger crowd, is becoming less desirable. As you all know, as you get older, you kind of want to slow down. You don't like music as loud. You don't like to do maybe some of the things that kept you up as late. You kind of like naps. You kind of like going to bed early. It's what's happening. As the Gen Z gets older, they're realizing there's something about getting older and wiser. So perhaps the most shocking of all Gen Z is embracing the idea of a higher power again. To hear more about this unexpected renewed interest in that God, despite our there's a hyper atheistic society. There is a group of Gen Zs that are now pushing back, saying we believe there must be a higher power. Now, church, if you're listening, this is a chance for us. There's a lot of also the other thing that the Pew Research just found out. 64% of Gen Z said they don't want to go to a church and watch a screen. So these satellite churches that were such a boom the past 10 or so years look like they could be a bust in the next 10 to 15 years. Gen Z says, according to Pew Research, they would rather see live humans and have the live experience. They don't like online sitting at home, Facebook Lives, if you will, and they don't like going and watching on screen. They would rather, and actually going to smaller churches, more community driven. And so, for instance, our church Sunday, we had over 400 views on Facebook Live. Now, that's more than we had in the service. So, I'm finding it interesting how you're finding more people that are watching online than we've ever had. But according to the Gen Zs, they don't want to watch service. They don't want to keep watching everything online. They want to have live interaction. For marriages, okay, relationships, and their religion. Interesting. So you can go to the Blaze Media and check that out if you like. I thought that was very good. Well, Trump stocks rally. If you haven't heard, Donald Trump got good news in New York, but his stock for his sale or going public with True Social, it's looking good.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. That's 800-932-3721.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Fly today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
I'm proud to be an American.
This is a Patriot
I just got a link to track a delivery. Did you get me a birthday gift?
Patios, walkways, or even large projects like foundation work. Patriot Concrete is there for you. Cameron Lee, 423-215-6365. We've used Cameron for many projects at Appleton Baptist Church, and he and his team are awesome. That's 423-215-6365. These are all veterans that served our country. Let them serve you. Patriot Concrete is there for you.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Deutsch, and if you or your business owe money to the IRS, I've got great news for you. Tax laws have changed. Billions of dollars are earmarked for IRS Fresh Start programs, and if you qualify, you can literally save tens of thousands of dollars. Listen, I know what you're going through. Call me if you want to speak with a tax attorney or tax professional for free.
800-964-0270. That's 800-964-0270.
Welcome back to the show. And we've got Indiana high school student gets his custom flag. I played this a little earlier. Check out this whole story.
A St. Leon student who fought to keep his American flag on his truck not only ended up being able to do that, but was also honored by the community.
Yeah, and now that same truck got a makeover. Fox 19 Now's Taylor Davis has the update on this story.
Honestly, couldn't believe it was the same truck by the time it was done.
Cameron Blasek couldn't believe his eyes. It was the same truck, but completely transformed.
And I still can't believe it that happened in the first place.
When we first reported this story, the truck was blue, and it was about a fight to keep this flag. But now the flag is here to stay, and the truck is making an even bolder statement.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy that, I get to pull up to school in this thing now.
Blasek, a senior at East Central High School in St. Leon, says the blue truck he got at 14, the one that became a symbol of his fight for flying the American flag, is now a stunning display of red, white, and blue.
Happy to show off that American pride that I've always been showing since day one.
It all became a reality after school administrators told him to remove the flag, claiming it violated school rules. Blasek argued his case, and the school quickly relented.
I was watching the news and then saw that the school was made him take down his flag.
His story doesn't end there. It caught the attention of GCI Digital Imaging. Impressed by his determination, the company offered a free makeover. In just a week, with the help of others, they turned his truck into a giant American red flag on wheels.
He stood his ground, and my buddy Brian and I felt very strong that we needed to back this kid up.
The story also reached the American Legion, who donated $3,000 to Blasek. He's currently planning a positive way to use the money. Taylor Davis, Fox 19 Now.
How about that? So you got a kid that was told you can't have your American flag on the back of your truck, and he said, I think I can, and he stood his ground. With the principal, Tim Black, had to back down, and then what happened was the kid got to not only go back, but people in the community said, hey, let's convert the kid's truck into a true patriotic truck. And it's rather amazing. I would love to have that truck. Way to go. Pastor, salute to that kid that stood his ground and said, I don't think I'm going to allow you to infringe upon my rights. And that's what you want. You want people to stand tall. And there's a song. It's called Fight Like a Flynn by one of these rappers. See what you think.
Now to recognize our obligation that we have to the world, an obligation to lead the world with unwavering integrity. And with Donald Trump in the White House, we will make America great. I bleed red, white, and blue. I will die for my patriots. Red, white, and blue. I go to war with my patriots. Red, white, and blue. I fight for freedom with my patriots. Red, white, and blue. USA with my patriots. You know I'm praying for the veterans like General Flynn. Proud American, I love my country, General Flynn. One nation under God. Standing tall like I'm General Flynn. You know he's fighting for our country and patriots love him. He fought in Afghan and Iraq. He's standing for something. Flynn, frontline lieutenant, born leader, God's gift. Promise to put America first, that's what he did. We won't back down, we praying here for better days. We can't back down, we gotta keep the children safe. He never changed our Trump, that's what Democrats really want. Unapologetic, not the type to pull a PR stunt. Red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue, General Flynn. Red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue, General Flynn. Fight like Flynn.
So what do you think? It's red, white, and blue, fight like a Flynn. This song came out 7 months ago, and it's called General Flynn Forgiato Blow official video. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But patriotism, it seems to still be something that's catching. And the Trump Latinos, the Blacks for Trump, they seem to be catching on with the message of Make America Great Again. And a lot of folks seem to desire to see this. So I don't know what you guys think, but Donald Trump.
Do not let them raise.
Trump to New York. He had a statement, evidently, keep your hands off the tower. See what you think of this. Here we go.
Former President Donald Trump's legal cases colliding today in New York City. Just a few minutes ago, we learned the court ruled Trump can post a lower bond to cover that $464 million civil fraud judgment that now sits at $175 million. Now, if he and his sons are not able to pay that, New York's Attorney General could begin the process of seizing their assets. Here's Eric Trump on Fox News.
Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing. They were laughing. Yeah. Top executives of the largest surety companies had never seen anything of this size.
Trump's also expected to appear in court today for a hearing in the hush money case with Stormy Daniels. That trial was supposed to begin today, but defense attorneys have been arguing for more time after more evidence was turned over by prosecutors.
So you got Donald Trump again dealing with the it looks like a witch hunt. I don't know what you think. Everyone's different. But it seems that they evidently, and the thing that came out in the Fannie Willis down in Fulton County is when they found out Nathan Wade, when he had to turn over for his divorce hearing. I mean, I hate to say this, but it says in the Bible, be careful, your sins will find you out. Nathan Wade, if he had not been so careless, we would not have known this. But because he was, when he was first put on as lead counsel down in Fulton County with that outrageous salary by his lover, Fanny the Wanny, he files for divorce from his wife. Now, if he just would have been chill till the end, we would have known this. But because they were in a divorce hearing, she wanted disclosure. So he had to disclose all of his financial records from his business, his law firm. Well, all the billings that he billed the state of Georgia that Fannie Willis was paying was very out there. But he had to show that he had been to the White House on multiple occasions. He wasn't sightseeing. He was billing the state of Georgia because he was going up there on official business. Now, why was he up there? It comes out, Fannie Willis, Nathan Wade, Lolita James, Alvin Bragg, all these actors involved in this persecution of Trump were up there meeting with the January 6th former investigative committee that lost all their stuff. Isn't that interesting? So this is appearing more and more as a coordinated event to try to either keep Trump off the ballots, bankrupt him, or keep him from running. Everything has failed thus far. He has stayed on the ballots. He has now secured the Republican nominee. He just won, and they're not going to take all of his money like they thought. And on top of that, he scores a big business deal. The art of the deal, Donald Trump is selling his True Social to make between $3 and $3.5 billion. The exact amount of money they have taken from him since he's been in office, with all the lawsuits and all the targeting and the boycotting. The guy keeps landing on his feet. And that's what's pretty simple to me. So you got a lady that is being interviewed, and she's saying, "Hey, Donald Trump, hold on, we're coming." And you know that song, "Hold On, I'm Coming." Well, she's wanting to tell Trump, "Hey, hold on, we're coming to help you." This is a lady of color, and see what you think about her statement. This is very powerful. And this is going viral. Listen to what this lady says. She's doing a video for Donald Trump.
Trump, we need you to hold on because we're coming. Now, I know it may feel like you got the world on your shoulders. They're trying to take all your businesses. They're trying to break you spiritually, mentally, and financially. But hold on, Trump, because we're coming. You have more support out here than you probably could ever imagine. We don't care about nobody calling us cult members. We don't care about nobody calling us mega extremists, right-wing extremists. We don't care anything about that. We want you to hold on, Trump, because we're coming. We're going to pull you through in the primaries. And November the 5th, 2024, we're going to be the rain, sleet, or snow to make sure you become the next president of the United States of America. So hold on, Trump, because we're coming. Oh, yes. You have more support out here than you probably could even imagine. Yep. Not just the 74 million people that voted for you in 2020, but you almost have double that. So Trump, hold on, because we're coming.
Did you hear that? She said not only the 74 some million you got last time, she says, I think it'll double. Woo! That's a pretty powerful statement. Now, Donald Trump said this, but you know, this is something Joe Biden's known as saying when he was speaking to Charlemagne. I think he calls himself the God or something. Anyway, when he said, "You're not black if you don't vote for me." Do you remember when Biden said this?
Trump, and you ain't black.
Ooh, okay, let's play that again.
Here, Trump, and you ain't black. Mayor Trump, and you ain't black. Figuring out whether you're for me or Trump. And a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. A problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
So Biden is just taken for granted that people of color are going to vote for him. Right now, in all the polls, Donald Trump is rising in approvability among Hispanic, black, and even Asian voters. Okay? And so with him having those are the three largest nationalities right now in our country, if you want to call it that, or immigrants, if you will. If Donald Trump's rising in those three categories, plus he has a very strong Caucasian approval rating, this is going to be hard for them to take away, and we'll see. But here is another lady explaining why she is voting for Trump. She is a lady that is just going on the record. She goes, I am a black woman that I was once incarcerated, and she tells her story why she supports Donald Trump. See what you think.
When it comes to President Donald Trump, I want to say this because a lot of people accuse this man of being a racist. And I just want to say that I met President Donald Trump working on criminal justice reform. I, too, was one of the ones that said, no, I don't want to go talk to that man. I don't know him. He hates black people. Well, that's what they said. And so they said, well, Angela, he's working on criminal justice reform. You have a story. Many of you may or may not know that I served time in a Georgia state prison. And while I was serving time in that prison, I was pregnant. And when it was time for me to deliver my baby, I was transported to a hospital here in Georgia by a police officer, and I was chained to a bed, and I was forced to give birth to my baby with a sheriff watching for a nonviolent crime. Also separated from my family for a nonviolent crime. But you know, the Democrats said we only supposed to fight for the family separation at the border. They forgot all about the family separation in the border. They want Trump to apologize for the CP5, but they ain't demanded that Joe Biden apologize for the 94 crime bill. But that's something else. I had a story. They told me that this man was a racist, but I had a story, and I knew that if I could use my story to convince this man that there was a need to reform our criminal justice system, then I would do that. I wasn't going to be worried about emotions. I wasn't going to be worried about the media. I wasn't going to worry about the naysayers. I was going to go in with my story and see if I could make a difference. I found myself sitting in front of President Trump in the Oval Office, and I shared my story. This is the man that they told me was a racist. I don't know. I'm scared to death. Is he going to hang me? I don't know. Is he going to call the KKK the way that the media has portrayed it? I'm in a danger zone. Just so happened that he heard my story. Not only did he pass the First Step Act, but he also made it illegal for them to chain women to the bed during their childbirth. This white man that they told me was a racist. They told me he hated black people. So not only did he just sign one of the most historic forms of criminal justice reform legislation to ever hit this nation, overturning the 94 crime bill that massively incarcerated black America, freeing nearly 20,000 people to this day. The First Step Act. I sat in the Oval Office with a lot of criminal justice reform advocates. I saw Kim Kardashian on the front page taking her pictures. I saw Alice Johnson. I saw Louis Reed. I saw Van Jones. I saw Jessica Jackson. I saw, what's her name? Vivica Fox. I saw Isaiah Washington. But I don't see any of them here today. A lot of people want to take a lot of credit for being criminal justice reform experts, criminal justice reform advocates, but to tell the truth, you didn't free nobody. Trump did.
Powerful. And that lady of color is gets on fire, and she wants you to know that that's what she's here for. She's here to support Donald Trump because he was there for her.
Have you ever
And some people, they understand, but the liberal out there, the mantra. They make you think, hey, if I support Donald Trump, somehow I've got a problem because I see him as a problem. Here's a little ad. It's 50 seconds. I'm curious what your thoughts are. See what you think.
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke turns to shit.
Turns to shoo-shoo. I'll just leave it at that. Donald Trump, I think he's kind of right on that. And it is an interesting concept. Do you really believe that you have to worry about someone's, if you're going to the hospital and stuff? And of course, the answer is no. And so, anyway, here, let's go to the next one here. How much time I got? I think I got time for one more. Digital World searches 35% of merger with Trump's True Social. Now, this is Newsmax, and it's their money section. I just thought I'd tell you a little bit of the financials that Donald Trump is now having. Shares of Digital World acquisition jumped 35% Monday. That's today. After the blank check company said it had completed its merger with Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG. TMTG owns social media platform True Social and is backed by former U.S. President Donald Trump. Again, it jumped 35% today at the merger signing. Digital World shareholders approved on Friday the merger with TMTG, allowing the deal to be completed and providing a windfall for Trump as he fights legal cases against him while contesting the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Digital World shares rose as high as 51.80. Wow, that's up 40.2%. Savvy? So, and recouping all losses from Friday's session when it closed down at 13.7. The stock and warrants are set to begin trading on NASDAQ on Tuesday with tickets to DJT and DJTWW. It was last up at 31% and also at $48.36 a share. So if you're wanting to take a shot, you might want to invest in this new merger, if you will, and as the True Social and Donald Trump's media group is going public. And a lot of folks are getting excited about this. The deal delivers $300 million cash infusion to True Social, which had lost $10.6 million from its operations in the first 9 months of 2023 on the revenue of $3.4 million. Trump, who is set to secure the Republican nomination for president, will own between 58.1 and 69.4% of the combined company. His stake was valued at about $3.3 billion after the shareholders approved the deal Friday. So Donald Trump, again, The Art of the Deal is the name of his book, made a sweetheart deal that's landing him $3 extra billion. I think it's a pretty amazing thing, and if you just consider and take a look back at that, he's doing well. Now, a lot of people are saying, they really think it's time for Biden maybe to leave office. I don't know where you're at on that. There's a lot of folks that think Joe Biden is done. I read the polls, 78%. I can't get my head away from this. This was USA Today a few weeks ago. 78% of registered Democrats said they want another candidate. They don't want Joe Biden to be their candidate. They've got concerns that he can't win. Okay, they've got concerns about his mental capacity. Yet, the Democrats still want to push through and act like those aren't legitimate concerns. And I think a lot of Americans are saying, wait a minute, we've got concerns about this guy. And I've got one of my favorite songs. Some of you love when I play it. It's called Yakety Yak Joe. it's time to pack.
You fill the papers with your dread, hiding a room to call the cat. You're tripping over more than floors. All your malarkey off the door. Yakety yak, time to pack. You're always changing up your tune. Skirt their agenda with a spoon. And you don't have to be too bright to see your head just isn't right. Yakety yak, time to pack.
I agree. Now, let's say they make the switch. Who would you pick? A lot of folks have speculated who would the Democrats put in because they don't have a rising superstar right now. They had one in Tulsi Gabbard, but she stood against Hillary, and Hillary took the wings out. You got to think if Hillary Clinton hadn't stolen the nomination from Bernie Sanders, and they allowed Bernie Sanders to run, that would have been an interesting race in 2016. Feel the burn against Donald Trump. But instead, they went with Hillary and tried to tell us how she was going to beat him, and of course, she didn't. But because Tulsi Gabbard supported Bernie, she stood against Hillary Clinton. She resigned as VP of the Democratic Party. She resigned her superdelegate spot, which is a huge honor, and she pretty much walked away from the future. Before AOC, she was the up and rising star. She was an attractive congresswoman. She had served in the armed forces. But the problem with Tulsi Gabbard was she loved her country over party. She's the only one that went to Trump Tower in 2016 from the Democratic Party. Everyone else wouldn't go. But she went, met with the incoming president, and said, how can I make things better? Those are some things about Tulsi Gabbard that's interesting. Now, I'm not saying I could vote for her because she's not pro-life, but she has a lot of qualities that I do admire about her, primarily that she stood up to Hillary Clinton and she's still breathing. Pretty interesting. So what am I saying about this? If Biden couldn't run, for some reason, they will not allow Robert Kennedy to be their guy, and that still befuddles me. I personally think the Democrats, if they coalesced around Robert Kennedy and got him a good running mate, he would be a handful for Donald Trump because he's just liberal enough to rein in the libs, but he's moderate enough against big pharma and some things. I don't understand the strategy of the Democrats. I really don't. But if you got, like I said, John F. Kennedy with a Tulsi Gabbard or somebody down the middle, a Christian cinema, if you will, I think that would be a very strong ticket. That's just me. Donald Trump, I think he's waiting to pick his vice president because I think he's waiting to see if they make the switch. Now, I'll see if you think about this. Because Donald Trump, if he makes his vice president pick, well, then they're locked in on his ticket. By Donald Trump withholding who he's going to pick for VP, it makes the Democrats wait longer to see who they're going to flip with. Savvy? Because say they go with Gavin Newsom. Say that Biden all of a sudden has an aneurysm or something, steps aside, they move Kamala Harris in as president, and they bring in Gavin Newsom as vice president, or Gretchen from Michigan or somebody. And that's their new ticket. None of that looks like they don't have anyone that can defeat Trump. And even Michelle Obama, I don't think she's electable. I really don't, because once they start digging into her past, that on her voting record, up till she registered as a male, whether you think she's a man or not. Michael Robinson was the name she went to college under, and that she voted in presidential and local state elections up to her and Barack running for president when he ran. So I just don't think she can handle. I know they're trying to make transgenderism much more normalized, because I think when she comes out and makes it more public, that those that seem to believe that now, that's not been proven. That's a theory. Joan Rivers and some others said that, but let's just say it's true. I still don't think they've got enough support for that. But regardless, well, let's say she's not a transgender. Let's say Michelle Obama's truly just a big woman with big shoulders. That's fine. But I don't think she's electable. I just don't. I think the Obamas have lost some of their zippity doo dah. That makes sense. So who would the Democrats put in? As you look through the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries doesn't strike me as somebody. And I don't see AOC being very likable. Again, I go back to Tulsi Gabbard. Can the Democrats win her back? It's going to be an interesting thing. But if Joe Biden stays on the ticket.
This is USA Heartbeat, the pulse of a nation.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Why did we get internet from this cell phone company?
Who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. 800-659-5731. That's 800-659-5731. Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is the Patriot Pastor Maisel Duncan. I want to introduce to you
You turn and look as a child.
University Motors of Chattanooga. Kevin Bloom is a great patriot, and University Motors of Chattanooga. My car was bought there, and now my car. I trust them enough that I do business with them. 423-713-5800. NugaUsedCars.com. That's NugaUsedCars.com. And tell them the Patriot Pastor sent you.
We're back. This is Patriot Pastor Maisel Duncan. Welcome back to the Maisel Duncan Show, broadcast live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And the big story of the day is Donald Trump getting the break that he got in New York in the appeals court. This is Kevin O'Leary and his thoughts. I like this guy. Hang on just a second. Here we go. Boy, every now and then the computer just doesn't want to cooperate. I don't know what it is. I think it's communism. I'm just kidding. Well, it's not cooperating. We've got the funny news though with Hunter Biden.
You know, my dad had an expression. He used to say, you know your success as a parent when you turn and look at your child and realize they turned out better than you.
There's no way of knowing how it got there or whose it is, but it appears that cocaine has been found at the White House.
We have a yellow bar stating cocaine, hydrochloride.
Yeah! I would like to know blow by blow who is responsible for this.
Too soon.
Indeed, cocaine. Now, again, this is part of an ongoing investigation.
I can't even fathom anything like this having been found before in the West Wing, and I go back to the 70s at the White House.
A piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $0.25 of $1. We passed a law that says you're caught with that, you go to jail. I spent more time on my hands and knees, picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine.
Come on, man. I think those cheap shots taken at Hunter Biden. He's a recovering addict. It's not funny.
I like it.
Cocaine is a serious drug.
The big question, Andrea, is for how long had this item, which was described as a small dime-sized bag, been in this location?
That's like saying before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh?
President is proud to have restored the rule of law.
So the problem is they're going after Donald Trump. And right there, they had the biggest case, I think, ever inside the White House. To me, this was right there with the Watergate. They had a bag of cocaine, and they just let it go away. And you guys know Hunter Biden was the culprit, but they just didn't want to deal with it. And let's see if we can get Kevin O'Leary here with Fox News. See what you think. Well, I guess Fox News just doesn't want to play today. And that's okay. You just move on. This is Jerry Nadler. I played it earlier, explaining why we need immigration illegally.
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm, that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants.
That's racist.
He said illegal immigrants. I thought that was a dirty word, but anyway, this is Jerry Nadler of New York.
The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them. This is a problem faced by every major country in the world.
So with all the abortion, all the transgenderism, all the things they push that either kills babies or has lifestyle so you can't procreate, he's now saying we don't have enough to repopulate at a healthy level, so we need to allow people to come in our country illegally so we can get potatoes out of the ground. Jerry Nadler, you do not make sense, sir, and I don't know why you're still considered somebody of influence and leadership, because what's happened because of the immigration and their ability to run through this nation, you're having problems with squatters in houses. Check out this story.
For years, he says squatters have been living on his Southeast Atlanta property since the pandemic. Fox 5's Mary Smith breaking it all down for us tonight.
The owner of this 9-acre property tells us he plans to build fencing around the front of the property in an effort to keep people out.
It's frustrating that I'm having to spend so much money. I spent $10,000 on cleaning up garbage from vagrants.
Atlanta native David Morris, who now lives in California, owns this 9-acre property in Atlanta's Lakewood area. It's the site of his former nonprofit, Lakewood Environmental Arts Foundation. He said about 10 years ago, he started letting 4 people live on the property rent-free if they helped care for the land. But during the COVID pandemic, he closed the nonprofit and noticed even more people staying on his property.
The people who are living on the lands started having other people live on the land, their friends. I tried to file eviction, and the city of Atlanta said, sorry, we have a moratorium on evictions right now.
He says now, years later, he has about 8 people living on the property and was contacted by code enforcement to clean it up.
The last month, I've gone through 5 dumpsters.
And he says in recent months, at least one person living on the property filed a counterclaim for $190,000.
That was dismissed, and there was no actual that counterclaim because they didn't show up in court. So it will take. I'm predicting another 30 days before the marshals will call me to schedule a time for me to have 5 people here to move everything from there to the street.
So this guy lives in Atlanta, lives in California, has property in Atlanta. You heard. He was letting some people live there for free. They kept inviting people. Well, then he shut down because he said just got out of hand. They kept living there and running up property. And one of the people, the squatters, actually tried to sue him for $190,000. What's going on in this country? Well, you got Jerry Nadler from New York acting like, hey, we've got to let illegal immigrants in or we won't be able to repopulate. We won't be able to hold jobs or get potatoes out of the ground. Crazy. So I don't know about you, but I really am disappointed in Mr. Nadler. Now, I've got a little funny here. This is, I guess, about Speaker Johnson's expense.
Do you think the president is mentally fit?
Jesse, I've spent a little bit of time with him, and I'm sad to tell you that I don't think he is.
Think about what you'd think about at the time.
And the reason I'm sad is because we are projecting weakness on the world stage. All of our adversaries around the world can see and follow exactly what you and I and the American people are. We have a weak president, and that's why our enemies are acting so provocatively right now. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. These are just the facts that everybody can see.
Senator from Kentucky.
You fill the papers with
Congress is poised to do what no American family would ever do. Congress is poised to spend.
Time to pack. You're always changing up your tune. Stir their agenda with a spoon. And you don't have to be too bright to see your head just isn't right. Yakety yak, time to pack. You moving closer for a chat. Then get to sniffing like a rat. And when your head is doing that, you don't remember where you're at. Yakety yak.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. As a footman all around the country. You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough. What a stupid son.
Don't you give me no dirty looks.
Well, Yakety Yak, it's time to pack. It's a cute song. But if Donald Trump, let's say he wins all of his legal battles, he secures the Republican nomination, and he and Biden go head-to-head in 2024. I don't see how Biden – I didn't see how he won in 2020. They called it hide and bite, and he hid in the basement. He never came out. A few times he did. People were in hula hoops. You guys remember that? Explaining his win is unreal. If he were to win in 2024, with all this, with the cocaine and all the charges that he keeps evading, and then all the trumped up charges on Trump, I mean, pardon the pun, you just wonder how this is going to play out. I'll be back.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families. And you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. 800-695-0376. Again, that's 800-695-0376.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days.